Welcome to Egypt, the land of mystery and history. Here at Archaeology with Flint Dibble, we've been granted an exclusive 100 hours at the pyramids of Giza to go behind the scenes and bring to you all the depth of the archaeology of Egypt. No, I'm joking. It was Mr. Beast that was granted 100 hours of behind-the-scenes access to the pyramids. Now, if you don't know who Mr. Beast is, you've probably been living in a hole in the ground.
I don't know who Mr. Beast is.
See, some people don't know who Mr. Beast is, and that's Yoni you just heard, who is our video editor and co-producer here at Archaeology with Flint Dibble, and she does not know who the most popular YouTuber is. I think I'm working with the wrong person. If you want to join the channel and become co-producer, leave a comment below, please. I'm looking for somebody who understands the lay of YouTube here, not this. Oh, wait, what happened to the green screen? The effects, come on, Yoni, you're welcome back, please, please. Okay, so a number of friends sent me this video because they thought it was absolutely cringe. Mr. Beast and his boys are palling around and yucking it up at the pyramids of Giza.
Pull it! I can't! Get me off this thing, bro. Dude, it looks so good!
And they're doing cringe-worthy acting that just looks so fake, making it look like they're in danger when they're in absolutely no danger whatsoever.
I'm so scared, bro.
Carl, that's not smart.
Dude, I'm literally in a tunnel in ancient Egypt that nobody's ever been before.
So before we literally all die and see the underworld for ourselves...
I mean, this is just a cringe fest. Or is it? Look, as an archaeologist who tries to present an accurate picture of archaeology and history to the general public, I'm gonna make a real hot take here on you, Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast, I loved your video. I thought it was a fantastic masterclass in debunking pseudoarchaeology conspiracies and sharing behind-the-scenes footage in high quality that the public has not typically seen inside the pyramids. So let's think about why. In many ways, it is absolutely cringe that you are bragging nonstop about doing things that are normally illegal or doing things that almost nobody has ever done before.
Where literally less people in modern times have been than have gone to space. Why are we going down this 300-foot tunnel?
Well, you asked for things that no one else does.
What? I got permission to do something normally illegal.
Look, as an archaeologist, I do this all the time. I have climbed to the top of the Parthenon and looked down. I was the first one to touch the treasure in the tomb of the Griffin warrior. I have been in trenches and areas that people have never even heard of or thought of, and been one of very few people to do so. And do you see me bragging about it? Okay, I guess I am bragging about it a little bit. The reality here is that everybody wants to be an archaeologist, and that's kind of cool. So, good on you if you're a student or a kid. Think about becoming an archaeologist, become educated, take some classes.
You gotta get out of the library!
Now look, in this video with Mr. Beast, they go everywhere at Giza. They go inside all three pyramids from the top to the bottom. They go underneath the Sphinx, and they go to a variety of tombs nearby to really dig into the archaeology of Giza. And they go in with this kind of wide-eyed enthusiasm. Mr. Beast even suggests
These pyramids were so technologically advanced for their time that some credit them to a pre-Egyptian civilization, while some point to even crazier theories like aliens. But Egyptologists are sure that they were built by the first Egyptians as tombs for their kings. And by the end of this video, we're gonna find out which of these theories is true.
In fact, Mr. Beast even makes the huge no-no of suggesting that it might have been aliens to the director of the Giza project, Dr. Ashraf Mohie. So,
Our time with Ashraf was coming to an end. And before he left, I wanted to hear his take on this.
So aliens didn't build the pyramids?
Aliens, come on, don't break my heart. Egyptians were the builders.
Tariq,
What?
don't bring up aliens again.
You did.
Egyptians built it.
If you can build a pyramid, you can do anything.
but on the other hand, I gotta give it up for Mr. Beast. This is a masterclass in debunking these pseudo-archaeology ideas. So let's dig into how Mr. Beast debunks the two most common pseudo-archaeology theories here at Giza. Number one, is there a secret chamber under the Sphinx filled with the records of Atlantis and gold from Atlantis? Now, this is a really popular conspiracy. This conspiracy has been around for nearly 100 years, and if you look all over the internet, everybody suggests, let's dig under the Sphinx. Okay, but as an archaeologist, I'm totally confused as to why this idea is so popular. There is literally zero evidence for the existence of a mysterious chamber under the Sphinx. And I mean zero. There's not a piece of historical evidence. There's not a piece of archaeological evidence. In fact, the archaeological evidence is entirely against it. The Sphinx was carved out of bedrock. It's solid rock at the base of the Sphinx. There's nothing to dig into unless you're going to excavate out rock, which you can do, obviously. This was a quarry where they pulled out blocks for the buildings at Giza, but there's no evidence of such a chamber, and to invent otherwise is to take modern evidence. Now, the Sphinx just looks mysterious, though, being half lion, half human, an immense sculpture, if you will, out of this quarry of bedrock here. But this idea has no historical archaeological evidence. It actually comes from the mouth of a psychic from the 20th century. Edgar Cayce, known as the Sleeping Prophet, went into trances, and in these trances he would perform psychic miracles, healing people of their illnesses and their diseases and their afflictions. And he grew to great fame in the early 20th century as one of the most popular psychics and prophets in the Western world, in America. And in these trances, he believed he was communicating with his reincarnated self from the past. So, one of these past selves was an Egyptian high priest. And that Egyptian high priest was apparently responsible for what was known as the Hall of Records underneath the Sphinx. It's here that he claimed there were records from Atlantis and treasures and things like that. Let's listen to his son describe this Hall of Records underneath the Sphinx.
Edgar Cayce insists that in front of the Sphinx there's a record of all of this, going all the way back to Atlanteans' records that they brought with them from Atlantis. And it's buried deep in a little pyramid of records. Is he crazy? Is this fabricated? Are we on a wild goose chase?
Yes, that is absolutely a wild goose chase. All you have are the words of a psychic versus all the historical and archaeological evidence. So, Jimmy Donaldson, Mr. Beast, let's see what you got. Are you going to go under the Sphinx?
I read online that there's a temple buried beneath the Sphinx filled with gold, and I'm on a mission to find out.
And it's Dr. Zahi Hawass who brings them to the Sphinx.
Who is right, Dr. Zahi or all the conspiracy theories on the internet?
Okay, Jimmy,
Yes, sir.
help me.
Whoa, is that an entrance?
Yes.
I cannot believe I'm entering the Sphinx.
He's opening up. What? There is a Hall of Records? What is this? Oh my God, Mr. Beast, you have to reveal the reality to us, please.
I want to see if that temple's real. I'm not sure I'm gonna fit.
You will.
Whoa, this is cool. All right, let's see if there's any hidden gold. Zahi, I just see an empty hole.
Then I need you to give a statement right now. I need a statement.
All right, Zahi, there was nothing inside the Sphinx.
Oh, you mean there's nothing there? It's just a tiny little hole carved into the bedrock. This is how you debunk a conspiracy theory. You show the evidence. Show us what is under the Sphinx. Here is what's under the Sphinx. And I want to be really clear. People have tried to find this Hall of Records many, many, many times, or to find hidden chambers around the Sphinx. For example, Colonel Vise, who was in charge of Egyptological exploration of the pyramids, we'll hear about him later on the Sphinx, he tried to drill into the Sphinx to find a hidden chamber. He failed. He got metal rods into the Sphinx going down 8 meters, so nearly over 20 feet, before they got so stuck he couldn't even get them out again. As well, the Association for Research and Enlightenment, the institute founded by Edgar Cayce's children, which has funded Egyptology research to try to prove Edgar Cayce's ideas, they have done drills in and around the bedrock of the Sphinx, and they have found nothing. There are no hidden chambers under the Sphinx. We know this, and thank you, Mr. Beast, for showing this in a clear and simple way. Now, on to the number 2 conspiracy theory that Jimmy Donaldson debunks, and this is just masterful. As I showed you earlier, he went in there thinking and joking around about how it could be aliens, it could be non-Egyptians who built the pyramids. But very quickly, Dr. Ashraf Mohie debunked this idea. It's really clear the Egyptians built the pyramids. Dr. Mohie?
We have 124 pyramids all over of Egypt. So each time I'm calling aliens, come build a pyramid for me. Cannot be like this. Egyptians were the builders.
Don't bring up aliens again. Egyptians built it.
If you can build a pyramid, you can do Anything.
So, look, this is just preposterous. So, we have clear dates on these pyramids in inscriptions, in radiocarbon dates, in the pottery and the funerary goods within that date them. And to think that they just, hey, aliens, come on, we need a new pyramid every generation or two, it's obviously ludicrous. But there's more here. Mr. Beast actually really digs in and goes behind the scenes to present 3 clear, independent lines of evidence for why the ancient Egyptians built the pyramids as tombs. And this is actually spectacular because this is how archaeology works. We use independent lines of evidence. And what's interesting is he doesn't actually use the scientific evidence for their dating. There have been radiocarbon studies of the mortar within the pyramids that have dated them clearly to the Old Kingdom Egypt. And guess what? They were funded by the Edgar Cayce Institute, that Association for Research and Enlightenment. Kind of cool when conspiracy theorists help disprove their own ideas. But Mr. Beast, let's think about it. What are your 3 independent lines of evidence that the Egyptians were the ones who built the pyramids? Number 1, we have the people themselves who built the pyramids. The Egyptians have excavated, Egyptian archaeologists have excavated the tombs of the workers at Giza. And Mr. Beast goes there with Dr. Zahi Hawass.
These are the tombs of the pyramid builders.
According to Zahi, this is literally where the people who built the pyramids were buried over 4,600 years ago.
This man, his name is Nefertiti.
Wow.
And look at this. They write who they are, they tell us what they did.
And I know what you're thinking. Just because the writing on the wall says the people who built the pyramids are buried here, it doesn't actually prove that they were.
And Mr. Beast is skeptical. He does not even believe these writings. So Dr. Zahi Hawass shows him an excavation in progress of the remains of one of these workers.
And you're letting me excavate it. Is that a spine?
Whoa. Yeah, we found out that all the skeleton here of men and women had a stress on their back.
And Zahi clearly explains how every single worker here has pathologies, which means skeletal issues from the manual labor that they do. They all have back issues. As Mr. Beast puts it, why?
Okay.
Why?
Because they're moving 2-ton blocks?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Very smart guy. Those, nothing.
Yeah.
You're not saying anything.
And this is why you keep saying that aliens didn't build the pyramids, because the workers' bodies are literally here. This might be the coolest thing I've ever done.
Yeah, from moving these giant blocks. They all do, and they have a variety of other pathologies associated with this kind of heavy manual labor, right? And this is very different from pathologies with other work. For example, excavations of individuals that we know as ancient scribes from Egypt have a very different set of pathologies. For example, issues with their jaws from gritting their teeth or gnawing on their pencils. Different issues with their back from how they're seated and their legs. And so it's this scientific study of the workers themselves that demonstrates that it was humans, these Egyptians, who built the pyramids 4,600 years ago. And what Mr. Beast does not reference is other historical evidence we have, textual evidence of these workers themselves. Very recently, about 20 years ago, Egyptologists working in the Red Sea discovered the Red Sea Scrolls, some of the oldest papyri ever found, including the diary of one of the workers who worked on the pyramids, an individual, an inspector named Merer. And in here is a day journal, a day-to-day record of this inspector, Merer, of the work that he was doing in the quarries at Tura near Giza and transporting that limestone to Giza in order to build the pyramids. We have these day journals and we have them clearly dated in reference to Khufu's time. So we have all this historical evidence, and then we have the architectural evidence of the pyramids themselves. And Mr. Beast is wowed by this. So for example, they go to the very bottom of the Great Pyramid.
To make sure we explored this entire pyramid, our guide suggested that before we go to the highest point, we make a stop at the very lowest point, hundreds of feet deep below the pyramid.
And it turns out that this is a decoy.
This massive chamber and nothing was found.
Why was it empty?
That's another decoy.
They went through all this effort just to create a decoy chamber.
Correct.
A decoy chamber designed to thwart grave robbers. Because Egyptian tombs were filled with gold, they were, royal tombs in particular, they were targets for grave robbers. In fact, almost every single royal tomb found has been looted. I repeat, almost every single royal tomb that has been found has been looted, and we have plentiful records of the ancient Egyptians trying to stop this grave robbing, from laws that they passed to execute these grave robbers, to moving pharaohs' bodies from one tomb to another to protect them. I have a nice conversation with Eric Klein on this channel, the author of 1177 and After 1177, about this topic.
Can you imagine the amount of looting that had to have been going on, that it was such a problem that they moved the bodies? You also have to imagine, as you alluded to, that accidents happened. I mean, I don't know. They dropped one of the guys, and they're like, "Oh, put them back together." And they're like, "Well, put that bone right there. Wait, that's the pelvic bone. Why are you putting it where the arm is? Nobody will know. Wrap it up. They'll never find out." And here you are, it's like 3,000 years later, going, why is this guy's arm in his pelvis? Like accidents happen. Anyway, it's cool. And I think it shows that they were human as well, just like us. They had the same problems. But it also does, for me, spell out just how problematic that time period must have been in Egypt, that they had to rebury all of the pharaohs. Oh my God, the looting must have been intense. Yeah. And we know that from the records, right? Because they captured them and they put
trials.
them to death.
Exactly.
Trials. Yeah, and you don't even want to know how they put them to death. I mean,
and the reality is we found very few royal tombs unlooted. Only really, you could think about King Tut's tomb found by Howard Carter, filled with all the gold. All the rest of them have been looted, and we know the Egyptians tried to stop this looting by creating decoy tombs with sarcophagi and other things to trick grave robbers so they can't find the actual tomb itself within pyramids and within other underground tombs. And as Mr. Beast puts it,
proving that the pyramids were built as tombs for the kings of Egypt. But this decoy chamber also included the deepest point in all of the pyramids.
Guys, I'm gonna be the person that's gone the deepest. I'm at the lowest point of the pyramid!
And now that we've been to the lowest point of the pyramid, let's go to the top.
Now, the final piece of evidence Mr. Beast presents is really the nail in the coffin, if you will. And this is, again, contemporary writings from the time of the building of the pyramids. Back in the 1830s, when Colonel Howard Vyse was exploring the pyramids, he used dynamite to blast in. And in one case, while this did a lot of damage, archaeologists do not use dynamite for good reason today. In one case, he discovered something cool, which is near the top of the Great Pyramid of Khufu. He discovered these open chambers, and they were not meant to be seen or used. They were just there to relieve weight, right? And so he blasted his way in, and him and his entourage of wealthy nobles and whatever got in there. And lo and behold, as Mr. Beast and Dr. Zahi Hawass show us, they discovered ancient graffiti. They discovered hieroglyphs inside the Great Pyramid. Now, if you go on the internet today, you will see hundreds of people saying, these aren't tombs, they don't have hieroglyphs in them. That's not true. Right here, as Mr. Beast shows us, there are hieroglyphs inside the Great Pyramid.
And just like that, we are now at the highest point inside the pyramid.
We made it, Chandler. Oh my gosh, there's so many bats in here.
What is this, Jimmy?
This is not how I wanted the video to end. We got like 2 minutes left and we're being attacked.
Jimmy, come here. This is one of the names of the gangs who built the pyramids.
And what these are is these are quarry marks. These are marks from the different groups of workers who were transporting and building the pyramid, because it wasn't just two dudes moving blocks. These were organized, effective teams of workers. And here we go. Take it away to Zahi and Mr. Beast.
Hyper means team. Simsu means friends. Cartouche, Khufu. Khufu.
This means the group, friends / gang of Khufu. And that was written 4,600 years ago.
Exactly.
Yes, this inscription right here identifies this group as Khufu's gang. This was one of the groups here. And if you go through all of these relieving chambers, there are dozens of similar hieroglyphic inscriptions identifying these worker groups. And this is not something that exists just in the Great Pyramid. Other old dynasty tombs and pyramids have similar quarry marks identifying the teams that were building them. This is not a unique feature. And in fact, one of the reasons this is so clinching, I want to read to you from Professor Mark Lehner's book, The Complete Pyramids, on the discovery of these chambers and the hieroglyphs here. As he puts it, just as significant as the amazing architecture of the relieving chambers was Weiss's discovery of numerous graffiti and red paint dating from the time the pyramid was being constructed, along with leveling lines, axis markers, and directional notations. So, contemporary evidence for the construction of the building were the names of the work gangs compounded with one form of Khufu's name, such as Khnum Khuf, the creator god Khnum protects him. One of the gangs might have been called something like, "How powerful is the great white crown of Khnum Khuf?" In spite of the extreme difficulty of getting up into the relieving chambers, a fair number of visitors have followed Weiss since the 1837 opening. They have, unfortunately, freely added their graffiti to that left by the work gangs 4,600 years ago. The single instance of the king's name as simply Khufu, the one read by Zahi here, again as part of the work gang name, is found on the south ceiling towards the west end of the topmost chamber, Campbell's chamber. Since nobody had entered this from the time Khufu's workmen had sealed it until Weiss blasted his way in with dynamite, the gang names clinch the attribution of this pyramid to the 4th dynasty pharaoh Khufu. Workers' graffiti and red paint have been found in other Old Kingdom pyramids, temples, and mastabas. So clearly, this is clinching evidence. These workers had these notations about how to move the blocks in, not using advanced technology. They left names on which groups were responsible for bringing in different blocks, and they put it together in a systematic way. Because yes, if you can build a pyramid, you can do anything. Thank you, Ashraf Mohie. Now, this brings up another point. Mr. Beast, I'm sorry, but you are extremely cringeworthy by constantly saying, "We're doing things that it's illegal to do. Nobody's ever done this before." Come on, man. What are you, just some rich playboy? You sound like Graham Hancock. Now let's listen to what Graham Hancock says about doing illegal things.
Giza, Egypt, 16th of March 1993, 3:30 a.m. We walked through the deserted lobby of our hotel and stepped into the white Fiat waiting for us in the driveway outside. It was driven by a lean, nervous Egyptian named Ali, whose job it was to get us past the guards at the Great Pyramid and away again before sunrise. He was nervous, because if things went wrong, Santa and I would be deported from Egypt and he would go to jail for 6 months. Of course, things were not supposed to go wrong. That was why Ali was with us. The day before, we'd paid him $150, which he had changed into Egyptian pounds and spread among the guards concerned. They, in return, had agreed to turn a blind eye to our presence during the next couple of hours.
Graham Hancock brags about bribing the guards at Giza and climbing the Great Pyramid, which he apparently did twice. This is ridiculous. There are 14 million people who visit Giza and the pyramids every single year. If everyone climbs them, it damages them. And this is really, really key. The reason why several of the things that Mr. Beast did, as he said he wanted to do the things that nobody else does, they're off limits for good reason. And this is where I really want to say, Mr. Beast, you did a good job here. Because not only did you brag about how these things that you're doing were off limits to everybody, but you actually explained really clearly why.
We'll be going into the tombs of ancient pharaohs, places that are literally illegal to enter because they're incredibly dangerous.
For example, when he goes to this painted tomb, why is it illegal? Because if so many people went in there, it would damage the fragile paintings.
We are at the tomb of Emery, one of the places that is completely illegal for people to go in. No one is allowed in here because these colors cannot be hurt after surviving 4,600 years.
This drawing is 4,600 years old?
Exactly. Tombs like this were sometimes more important than pyramids for us.
Or, for example, when you went to the lowest chamber in the Great Pyramid, why does nobody go in there?
This tunnel kept going for hundreds of feet, but after almost an hour struggling through these narrow passageways, my knees, ow.
Jimmy, this feels like we're buried alive.
We finally made it to the bottom. Whoa, I can stand. Rami, is it normal to be lightheaded?
We just crawled down over 300 feet.
I have bad knees that hurt.
How are you going to organize 14 million people to go in and out of this chamber? Or how about those upper relieving chambers? Look at this. They have to climb ladders to get up there. 14 million people a year simply cannot do this. It is dangerous to the people, as Mr. Beast points out, and it's damaging to the monuments. And lastly, as we can see from all the graffiti around these chambers, lots of people have been in those upper relieving chambers, and they left graffiti there, damaging them, desecrating them, because that is what people do. Just like pseudoarchaeologists who claim to lick blocks from the pyramid, or to the tourists who get arrested for climbing them, they are damaging the monuments and potentially endangering themselves. There are reasons why this stuff is off limits, and I have to say, Mr. Beast, you did a clear job explaining why, and I'm really thankful for that. So, you know what? In the end, I gotta say, nearly 100 million people watching this video, that is a win for Egyptology, for archaeology, and for Egypt itself, because they're learning some good facts and debunking some pseudo-archaeology.
Throughout this video, we have learned as much as we could about the origins of the pyramids, and the Egyptologists have shown us the best evidence they could find.
Egyptians were the builders.
From the workman's tomb, to the skeletons buried nearby, which had all been affected by manual labor, to looking under the Sphinx for secret rooms and treasure.
There's not aliens down there.
To researchers, this graffiti is the nail in the coffin for anyone who doubts that ancient Egyptians built these pyramids as tombs for their pharaohs.
This is the end of our adventure.
I have no idea why Egypt let us do all the things we did, but I'm eternally grateful. Shout out to this country. You guys rock.
My hat is off to you, Mr. Beast. If you ever want to chat some archaeology, I'm right here at Archaeology with Flint Dibble. We'll do some more deep dives into Egypt and the pyramids coming up soon. Love and archaeology to everyone.